On this episode of DWZ, we're going to be, in fact, reviewing Game Changer Wrestling The Coldest Winter. This one features Matt Cardona versus Nick Meneth. Now, don't think of this as Zack Ryder versus Dolph Ziggler. That story has nothing to do with it. This is a completely different story. We even have, of course, the GCW World title on the line and plenty other matches as well. Then we move on with the much recent AEW Dynamite. This one features a number one contender for the AEW World title. As you know, Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page has been both arguing who should be the one to challenge Samoa Joe. So we will find out as well. We do see Deonna Purrazzo making a very interesting observation for her opponent with Tony Storm against Red Velvet. I think that's who she's taking on. And of course, we have Sting and Darby Allin taking on Big Bill and Ricky Starks for the AEW tag team titles in a Texas Tornado tag match. So the real question is, will Sting capture gold before his retirement? Well, we are going to find out. And then soon enough, we have some more news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events that are being posted out by the promotions, who's booked, what matches are set. We also got more info for the upcoming WrestleCon in Philadelphia during WrestleMania week. We even have some developments going around regarding what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling as well. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a video by itself. We also do more news updates on real time, and also do Nagasaki Watch and various other things. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff on this channel as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, let's begin. Now, as you know, this past weekend, GCW, or this past Friday, GCW had their much recent event. This took place on the 3rd of February. Well, yeah, it was Saturday, my bad, at the Ukrainian Cultural Center, the Coldest Winter 2. Now, it opened up with Matt Cardona versus Nick Meneth. Now, Cardona issued this challenge because he felt that Nick Meneth's presence in the independents is a threat to him. He feels, hey, you made your ways in WWE. This is my turf. So he feels that he is the real deal in GCW, that he is the savior. But I don't think he cares about that because we all know Nick Meneth is just stepping into a turf that it's unfamiliarized with him, which is, of course, not uncommon. But however, he was able to deal with Matt Cardona, and plus he had his father Don Meneth being there by his side, or I like to call him Papa Meneth. So he was right there watching. But of course, with Matt Cardona proving himself, saying that he's the indie god, the death match king. Well, Steph Landers tried to get involved many occasions, but it failed miserably. Not to mention, we did see Ryan Meneth being there to back up his big brother, which was good. But however, when you thought that the deathmatch royalty had everything under their grasp, it did not, because Stefan Landers accidentally whacked Matt Cardona with a glass bottle, allowing for Nick Meneth to apply Danger Zone, picking up his first win in GCW. Now, our next match, we have Man Like Darius versus the finesser Chris Bay. I think this match was pretty good because they almost have similar styles in wrestling, if you guys notice. I mean, Man Darius, he's from the UK. Chris Bay, he's here in the United States. They're almost similar in some capacity, but I no doubt that this match was going to be good. I think it was a fantastic high flying maneuver, but excuse me. But I do know that this match was pretty good. Had like much of the X Division style or cruiserweight. But in the end of this match, it was, of course, Chris Bay with the art of finesse onto Darius to pick up the win. Now, our next match, we have a very fun match. Well, you can say fun, but we have Mike Jackson, the old man who's in his 70s, taking on the so-called future legend, Kerry Morton. Yeah, the son of Ricky Morton. Yeah, the little prick who has no respect for anybody but himself. So basically, he's doing that the entire time. But I think, in my opinion, that Kerry Morton underestimate Mike Jackson. Many wrestlers have underestimated Mike Jackson, win or loss. I mean, you can say what you want about Mike Jackson, that a guy like him shouldn't be in the wrestling, but I don't think, to me, it matters, because if he can wrestle at his age, then it proves that he is one tough SOB. And I think Kerry Morton learned the hard way. But however, out of desperation, when of course Kerry Morton pinned Mike Jackson, he actually, how do I say, used the ropes into advantage. The ref didn't see it, so basically he walked away by stealing a win. But sooner or later, Kerry Morton will get that back onto him at sooner or later. Our next match, we have that so-called despicable piece of garbage, Charles Mason, taking on Alex Hammerstone. Now, if you guys remember, Hammerstone showed up to help his old pal, Richard Holloway, to deal with Charles Mason, but all of a sudden, things went into a turn when Richard Holloway turned his back on Hammerstone, and now he gets his revenge. Now, of course, Charles Mason will do whatever it takes to bring down the big man, to slow him down once and for all, but don't ever count out the strength and capability and power of Hammerstone. He would not stay down no matter what he does. Not to mention, with the dirty tricks that Charles Mason, he would have thought that would work in his favor, but it also failed until Alex Hammerstone applied the Nightmare Pendulum to pick up the win. But he did say that he will be facing, of course, Richard Holiday at the Feel No Ways in Phoenix. So that's pretty much what was happening. But however, Richard Holiday, of course, Mason grabbed the chair and whacked Hammerstone in the knee, but we weren't sure if he'll be 100% until the following day. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting trios action taking place. We have Bodie Young Prodigy, Titus Alexander, and Starboy Charlie, known as the West Coast Boys, dealing with Los Desperados, consistent of Latigo, Aries, and Gringo Loco. I have to say, what a fantastic match. I mean, I love this. It felt like an actual Lucha Libre type match. I mean, you probably would have loved how this was going to go. A lot of high flying spots. A lot of, you would have thought, oh man, this match almost would have ended this way. But no. But in the end, it was Gringo Loco with the moonsault onto Titus Alexander to pick up the win. Our next match, we have Bussy. That's right, Bussy, Ali Catch, and Effie taking on Rina Yamashita and Masha Slamovich. Now, I thought this match was fantastic because even though there was no storyline involved in this one, I was like, wow. But you probably wouldn't expect what was going to happen. But there was a moment. Now, if you guys ever seen Rina Yamashita, she had the tendency to, of course, grab a man's crotch and crush it. However, she tried to do the same thing with Ali Catch, but it failed miserably. And then, of course, we saw a little kissy move in by Alley Catch to Rina Yamashita. I don't know what she was thinking, but I thought it was fantastic. But this match ended in no contest due to the arrival of Mance Warner. As you know, I don't think things with him and Effie are done yet, but I do know that now he has a new target, and that target is none other than Alley Catch. Alley tried to reason with him the last time, but it didn't do any well. So she decided to target Alley, torture him, but of course, Yamashita, Masha, even Effie tried to stop him, try to make him taste of his own medicine. And besides, he shouldn't be in this match. According to the commentators, he wasn't even scheduled to be there, but somehow he showed up. But that's what happened. But yes. All right, our next match. Our next match, we have Bobby Flaco, Mr. Danger, and Cold Roderick. They take on Sandra Moon and Los Macizos, Ciclope and Mierio Extremo. I thought this match was good. However, the match started with, of course, Mr. Danger jumped on the corner of the ring and wiping out, of course, Los Macizos. This was a good start for them, but I wasn't too sure how Sandra Moon will coexist with Los Macizos. Now, the Macizos, they always work well with Rina Yamashita, but however, she really pulled off a fantastic move, not to mention she sacrificed her body for Los Macizos, and I think that shows she can hang with guys like them. But in the end of this match, it was a bombshell by Medio Extremo to Bobby Flaco to pick up the win. Now, our next match, I have to say this is one of my favorite ones to enjoy. Su Young taking on Hee Hee. That's right, Santana Jackson. I don't know how this was going to go, but I can tell you the one thing that was so funny. If you guys know it, there are certain moments where Santana Jackson, when you hear the song, you got the thriller, thriller. Yeah, he turns into the wolf. However, under the ring, he had multiple wolves. I'm like, how is it that he had an army that quick? But he did. It did drove Su Young crazy. You wouldn't think otherwise, but you probably would think, okay, Su Young, she will definitely F him up, if you know what I mean. But Santana did not allow that to happen, but he was able to apply the DDT, the Moonwalk DDT, and it was over. Just like that. So yes, I loved Santana Jackson. I think he's a unique wrestler. Despite that he's doing a Michael Jackson gimmick, it's fun. Now, our next match, which is our main event, this is the GCW World Title. We have Dark Sheik versus Blake Christian. Now, we all are sick and tired of Blake Christian. He always finds ways to cheat his way through to ensure that he gets the title remains on his side. But one thing that was a good factor in this match, no Shane Mercer involved, thank God. But I thought this match was great. I mean, Dark Sheik had to use all kinds of plunder. I mean, she didn't make him bleed, but she just made him feel pain. That's exactly what she tried to do. You would have thought that this would have been enough to take out Blake Christian and Dark Sheik becoming the GCW World Champion. But no, once again, it was the stomp that became the X factor of the match, allowing for Blake Christian to pick up the win. Sooner or later, I have to say, Joey Janela, I hope he dethrones him and walks away as the true face of GCW. So I think that's pretty much it right now with GCW. I believe it's time to move on with our last and final review, AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite. So it started out with the AEW World Title #1 contender between Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page. Now, this whole feud began after Swerve decided to take the spotlight from Hangman Page, feeling that he was given everything that he felt those opportunities should be given. Of course, Swerve doesn't regret all the things he did, especially when he broke into a man's house. But, of course, the one thing that struck a nerve for Swerve is the fact that Hangman told him, you can't even beat me without the help of the Mogul Embassy. That kind of put him in the edge, telling, of course, the Mogul Embassy not to get involved. He wants to prove once and for all that he can beat him. But you know that they would do great lengths to outdo each other, especially what type of things they can try, especially slamming through a table or try to use a chair behind the referee's back. But unfortunately, this match ended in a time limit draw, 30 minutes. But Swerve was unhinged, realizing that he did not beat him, even without the help of the Mogul Embassy. But he demanded 5 minutes. But of course, Hangman, who had a smile on his face, told him, "You couldn't even beat me for 5 minutes." So he told him, "I'm not giving you those 5 minutes." But for some odd reason, the powers that be announced that at Revolution, it's going to be, of course, a three-way match for the AEW World Title. It's going to be Samoa Joe defending the belt against Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. And of course, Hangman is not happy with the result. But of course, um, so Swerve was. But however, what does our current champion thinks? Well, Samoa Joe questions, why did you rewarded these two a chance of the AEW title? It was a draw. In his mind, I think he believes that this is a load of crap. No one comes out as a winner, but Joe doesn't believe that these two are worthy to challenge him to be in the same ring with him. But there are those who are right now saying, and I know some of you Swerve Strickland fans are going to say that this is a little BS coming from what Samoa Joe said, from what the Samoa Joe fans or pro wrestling fans are saying in general, that they believe that at Revolution, Samoa Joe will walk out as a champion. But we will see what happens until then. Now, before our start of the next match, Deonna Purrazzo makes her way to the wrestling ring, way to the commentary desk, where she meets up with Shivani, what's his name, Taz, and of course Excalibur to observe the match between Toni Storm and Red Velvet. Now, of course, Toni Storm has gone out of her way saying that she's always been jealous of Deonna Purrazzo's uh, technical style of wrestling, but she wants to show her what technical wrestling really is. Of course, she did that by applying the ankle lock, but however, she won by that move, and then she refused to let go. But Deonna Purrazzo got in her face, and of course, she was doing the whole thing she always does up to Toni Storm's face, but Luther did not like that. But of course, in the exclusive interview that you don't see on televised show, possibly will be on either Rampage or Collision, Deonna said, "See, it's all easy." But I started to think, does Toni Storm doesn't realize that there's many ways for Deonna Purrazzo to escape an ankle lock? I mean, she is a submission specialist, and of course, she knows how to put people in different type submission special. I normally would like to say Deonna Purrazzo is like the female version of Dean Malenko, but we'll see what happens at Revolution between those two. Now, Orange Cassidy, along with Rocky Romero and Trent, as you know, there will be uh what's his name? OC will be facing of course Ishii, um Tomohiro Ishii. But of course he wanted to do this. And not to mention their talk about Chuck Taylor, to check up on him to see how's he doing. So we're kind of interesting how this is going to go. Now our next match, we have a very interesting match. We have the BCC versus the guys from CMLL. Representing BCC, we have Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, and Jon Moxley taking on Hechicero, Volador Jr., and Mascara Dorada. Now Mystico and two other guys were with him at ringside. On the other side were the fans stands watching the entire ordeal. It was a fantastic match, but however, many people have often talked about Hechicero, what an escape wrestler he is. I mean, I would like to see him face off Zack Sabre Jr. because it shows you have a guy who does have technical aspects, but he knows how to escape. And I ask myself, who does it better, either him or Zack Sabre Jr. But that's a conversation for another time. But however, this match ended with Claudio Castagnoli low blowing Hechicero, then pinning him for the win, which was a very unorthodox thing for him to do. But of course, the other members of CML did not like what they saw, so they come out to deal with it. However, members of the locker room even showed up to even the odds. So this is going to be a war between both CML and AEW. I'm sure we could see this match taking place at Revolution. That's something we could expect. But that's up to Tony Khan and the people at CML's ball court. So we'll see where that leads to. Now, however, after this whole thing, apparently the cameras went straight to the backstage area. The Undisputed Kingdom viciously attacked Chuck Taylor, and of course, Adam Cole told him, "Get well soon." Now, keep in mind, this is a way to get to Orange Cassidy's head. As you know, Roderick Strong's determined to claim that he is the rightful owner of the AEW International title, but we'll see what happens until then. Now, Tony Khan made a very interesting announcement that on March 13th, they'll be heading to Boston, Massachusetts at the TD Garden for a show called Big Business. And he said in his own words that this will be a night that will be memorable. Now, many people are been speaking about this particular day, that this could be the possibility of the arrival of Mercedes Moné and possibly Kazuchika Okada. Now, we don't know just yet. We just got to wait and see what happens until then. But let's move on. Now, our next match, we have Chris Jericho taking on Konosuke Takeshita. Now, we know that Chris Jericho had defeated Takeshita, but not here in the States, but in Japan at DDT Pro Wrestling, where Takeshita originally trained from. So, however, of course, Don Callis and Hobbs were going to be there. Kyle Fletcher was not involved in this at all. But, of course, Don Callis claiming that Jericho's a narcissist. But Hobbs, his interference got involved. But luckily, Sammy Guevara deal with him to level the playing fields. You would have thought that Jericho would have gotten away with this match. But unfortunately, Don Callis with that damn screwdriver whacked Jericho. And then, of course, Takeshita applied the walls of Jericho on Jericho to pick up the win. But you know for a fact, no matter what Don Callis tried to do, no matter how many wins, it's not going to stop Jericho, no matter what he does. So, this whole feud is not even over by a long shot. Now, our next match, we have the AEW World Tag Team titles in a Texas Tornado match. We have Sting and Darby Allin taking on Big Bill and Ricky Starks. Now, we all know that Ricky Starks had dealt with Sting and Darby Allin before, back in a few years ago when Sting first arrived and took Darby Allin under his wing. You probably would have thought this match was going to be insane. And not to mention, Sting's sons were over there watching too. I was like, wow, this is going to be great. And I loved it. Not to mention, they were beating the crap out of each other outside the ring. Darby was dealing with Big Bill, Sting with Ricky Starks, everything. But however, there was a moment that I don't know if you noticed. Ricky Starks hesitated to finish the job. Now, Taz, who knows Ricky, said that this was unorthodox for him to hesitate. This wouldn't be who Ricky is, but it did happen in that way. But unfortunately, Sting applied the Scorpion Death Drop and pinning Ricky Starks to become our brand new AEW World Tag Team Champions. Now, while the celebration goes on, the so-called EVPs showed up and attacked Sting and Darby Allin from the back. And not to mention attacking Sting's sons were there too. It was it was uncalled for from them to do something like that. Yes, the Bucks really made a statement. Now, I wouldn't be surprised that their primary motive now is to end Sting's career at Revolution. But I wouldn't be surprised either that if Sting and Darby Allin will put those titles on the line at Revolution. Now, let me give you guys a minute what I think. If that's the case, then Sting could easily win, ending his career as the AEW Tag Team Champions with Darby and vacate those belts as soon as possible once after the match was over. That's something I do envision. But as Dave Meltzer said, this is now in Sting's ball court, how he's going to finish his story. We talk about the whole thing like finish the story. And I think right now, this story with Sting is how he finishes. So we will see what happens until then. So I think that's pretty much it right now with AEW and everything else. I think it's time to do for news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's get started. Now let's begin with the promotional updates. As you know, GCW has made some updates on some upcoming events. Now, as you know, later on this month we have Touch the Sky. I believe that's their Dallas show. A match has been announced, a bull rope match between Mance Warner and Alley Catch. Now, as you know, I did recently review the recent Coldest Winter 2, where Mance Warner attacked Alley Catch. So we're going to see a much brutal match. Now, GCW even announced the return of two different cities they'll be making back. They'll be returning to LA in April on the 20th and returning back to Phoenix on the 18th of June. Now, House of Glory has announced for the Reckoning, the House of Glory crown jewel will be defended. La Sombra will be defending the belt against Lance Anoy. Now, this is not part of the promotion sections, but I'm only putting it now. Those who are ready for WrestleMania week, and for those who are attending WrestleMania or attending the events going on around WrestleMania, WrestleCon has announced for their Philly show on the 4th of April. 4 names have been announced. Hechicero, you may have seen him from CMLL, Dragon Kid from Dragon Gate, Máscara Dorada, and of course TNA's Josh Alexander. So if you're attending WrestleCon, get your badges now or whatever. So anyway, now for some recent developments. Now, you all may remember, as you know, what happened with Rossy Ogwa. As you know, Rossy Ogawa's co-founder of Stardom, Fuka, had something to say. I think this is a very interesting thing that she put out. Let me pull it up real quick. Fuka says that he's the person who uses his own position as a shield to protect the players. I know the truth, which is different from the rumors. So basically, Fuka knows the kind of person Rossy Ogwa said. Now, as you guys remember, I mentioned this on a DW discussion. If you guys remember, when WWE intending to buy Stardom, he did not like the idea that they were planning to dismantle the promotion. He wanted to ensure that everybody has a job, and that's exactly what he did. And now that the positions with the current roster, with certain wrestlers, are not being met with Bushiroad, it's the same old thing. So Fuka knows the kind of person Rossy is. People often said that he doesn't care, but he does care for his wrestlers. That's something that's been obviously been mentioned. Now, as you all know, with the drama going on with Vince McMahon, as you know, John Laurinaitis has been picked out as another person that is part of the whole Vince McMahon scandal. Now, he revealed something through his attorney that was later was set upon. People said that he only said this to save his own skin. As you know, Ashley and Masaro. Now, if you guys remember, many years ago, Ashley Masaro told that she was raped during a WWE tour in the Middle East and during Kuwait. However, John Laurinaitis confessed that actually this whole thing is true, that they kept it quiet. Now you ask yourself, why would he open his mouth about this? Simple. He knows that Vince will take him down to hell with him. That's obvious to me. But him revealing this, I wouldn't be surprised if Ashley's family, especially her daughter, will sue WWE for keeping things quiet. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, As you know, Mayu Iwatani, as you know, she is the only wrestler that has already been confirmed that she'll be staying with Stardom due to a long-term contract. But someone asked her if she's ever been deciding to wrestle overseas. She said that she would be excited to wrestle overseas, but however, she wouldn't do it because she'll be feeling homesick, and not to mention her cat and dog. So basically, she will not move to the US. I mean, travel to wrestle, yes, but moving, no. That's something she won't do. Now, as you all know, with the whole thing with TNA that's going on, there's one thing that kind of made me think. Now, as you know, many of the talent are not happy with the result of revealing that Scott D'Amore was stepped down, but later was told that he was fired from the company. But Moose said something that during an interview before this happened, he said that he owed a lot to Scott D'Amore for being there, taught him everything. I mean, they had a fantastic relationship as a mentor and student, co-worker and boss, friend and friend, that sort of thing. But he did say this: it's if Scott D'Amore isn't there, then Moose isn't there. Now, the real question is, now that Scott D'Amore is gone, well, Moose leaves. We know he resigned with TNA. That's something that's been already been clear, but we'll see where that happens. Now, New Japan Pro Wrestling has announced for some absentees that will take place this month on the 8th and 7th of February. Jeff Cobb will be replaced with Khan. Yoshihashi will replace Tomohiro Ishii. And of course, Ryusuke Taguchi will replace Kojima. Now, those who may have been aware of this, next month, Chanyota will be doing a self-produced show with PPP Tokyo. She actually reached out to two guys from Ryzen, which is like an MMA company in Japan. She recruited Seikin Shrek Hideki and Riki Akitachi. So even though she recruited them not because of their MMA fighters, those who know about Chanyota's background, she actually applied to the police force in Japan, and these two guys too. I'm not sure they're from the same prefecture. That's something I don't know yet. So I think that's pretty much it. But let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have a TNA and of course Ring of Honor. So that's something it's a priority to follow. I haven't decided yet if there will be something that I'll do before. I will continue to follow more with the whole thing with TNA. Now, a lot of questions have not been answered towards that about, of course, what was the main reasons for Scott D'Amore's dismissal from the company, and also we'll keep updates if any wrestlers from Stardom who will make the decision to either leave or stay. That is something I will be doing after this, just to find out if there's anything. So I will report that as soon as possible. I think that's pretty much it for now. So I will see you guys on the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye and have a nice day. Bang.